Once upon a time, in a small, humble village, there lived a mother and her 3 daughters. The family had faced much hardship after the untimely death of the father, leaving the mother, Mrs. Anderson, to raise her daughters alone. Mrs. Anderson worked tirelessly as a cleaner in a nearby hotel, doing everything in her power to ensure her daughters had a better life than she did. The eldest daughter, Lily, had a natural talent for household chores. She managed the house with such skill that it allowed Mrs. Anderson to focus on her work, knowing the home was in good hands. The second daughter, Monica, was kind-hearted and intelligent. She studied hard and eventually became a teacher at the village school. But it was the youngest, Serena, who showed an exceptional talent for academics. Serena's potential was clear from a young age, and her mother was determined to help her pursue her dreams, even if it meant sacrificing her own needs. Mrs. Anderson often skipped meals to save money for Serena's education, knowing that every rupee counted. Lily, too, took on extra work as a household cook in the homes of wealthier families to contribute to Serena's college fees. Monica offered tutoring services after school, all to ensure Serena could focus on her studies without worrying about finances. The family struggled, but they were united in their love and support for Serena's ambitions. Years passed, and Serena's hard work paid off. She qualified to become a doctor, the first in her family to achieve such a feat. The day Serena graduated was a day of immense pride and joy for the entire family. Serena began her career as a family doctor, and soon her income helped lift her family out of poverty. While working at the hospital, Ronnie met Dr. Kyle, a fellow doctor who was kind, dedicated, and charming. They spent more time together and eventually fell in love. Serena was honest with Kyle about her family's financial situation, and while he cared for her deeply, he felt uneasy about the extent to which she supported her family. Despite this, Kyle introduced Ronnie to his family, and she did the same. They were soon married, and Serena hoped their life together would be as harmonious as her parents had once wished for her. However, their marriage soon encountered turbulence. Kyle grew increasingly frustrated with the financial help Serena provided to her family, leading to frequent arguments. Serena felt torn between her love for her husband and her responsibility toward her mother and sisters. One day, Mrs. Anderson visited Serena and overheard a particularly heated argument between the couple. Later that night, Mrs. Anderson sat Serena down and spoke to her gently but firmly. She told Serena that she and her sisters would manage on their own, and that Serena should focus on her marriage. "I won't take a single penny from you if it means causing strife in your home," Mrs. Anderson said, her voice steady but her eyes filled with concern. "If you try to send money, I will have no choice but to sever all ties." Serena's heart sank. She knew how much her mother had sacrificed for her, and the thought of not being able to repay her in some way broke her heart. Yet she agreed to her mother's wishes, choosing to preserve her marriage. Life went on, and although Serena and Kyle's relationship improved on the surface, a part of Serena's heart grew distant from her husband. She had lost some respect for him, feeling as though he had placed his own comfort above her family's needs. Then, one day, Kyle received devastating news. His sister was in financial trouble after her husband gambled away all their money and ran away. Kyle immediately thought of helping his sister, but when he brought up the idea to Ronnie, she firmly refused. "If you give your sister any financial help, I will leave the house," she said, her voice filled with the pain of her own unfulfilled desires. That night, as Kyle lay awake, he reflected on his wife's words. He realized the deep frustration he had caused her by refusing to let her help her own family. Now, faced with the possibility of not being able to help his sister, he understood the anguish Ronnie had endured. The next morning, Kyle approached Serena with tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I now understand the pain I caused you. I'm so sad that I can't help my sister, just as you must have been when I stopped you from helping your mother. Please forgive me." From that day forward, Serena and Kyle worked as a team, supporting both their families with understanding and love. Their marriage grew stronger, built on the foundation of mutual respect and compassion. And while their journey had not been easy, they learned that true partnership meant standing by each other, even in the face of life's toughest challenges.